This is the Three Things with your host, Gene Church. A short time ago, that's about 22 minutes ago, the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett to the U.S. Supreme Court has been completed. She is the first female conservative to serve on the High Court. And in just a few moments, Justice Clarence Thomas will be swearing her into that particular position. Democrats have made a world of threats about what they're going to do. If Joe Biden is elected, if they take the Senate, including the idea of packing the court, basically adding additional justices, as they both have to get Biden elected and get those positions filled. We'll have to wait until later on to see whether any of these threats really have any teeth. But the issue this evening is, what impact does Amy Coney Barrett have upon the court? As with any justice, we can't say with any certainty what she will look like as a justice. There have certainly been many justices in recent years, mostly Republicans, who have been presented as being one way and turned out to be the opposite after receiving a lifetime appointment. Interestingly enough, it seems to happen to Republicans and not to Democrats. I think the reason why is because the choices made by Democrats have been openly clear about their positions, and that Republicans have often in the past chosen as stealth candidates people who were supposed to be conservatives and turned out to be moderates or liberals in reality. Justice Barrett does not fit that mold. Her positions on issues have been open and fairly clear. She's an adherent to a philosophy that where she sees herself as the flag bearer for, and I believe we can anticipate her continuing in the direction she has already laid out. Both parties are claiming that this is the most important race in American history, the presidential race coming up. And Justice Barrett may be able to place her stamp upon the decision. One of the first cases she could hear could decide who wins the White House. Courts throughout the nation have had cases on balloting on Election Day, but one particular one has garnered nationwide attention. Republicans in the battleground state of Pennsylvania want the Supreme Court to determine whether ballots received after Election Day can be counted. With the state still very much up for grabs and its 20 electoral college votes possibly could decide who wins the presidency, this becomes an important issue. The Supreme Court justices split 4-4 last week on Monday over a case asking that the state court order be set aside that would allow absentee ballots to be accepted after Election Day. The tie vote left the Pennsylvania court order in effect and allows mailed-in ballots to be counted if they're received by November 6th. Chief Justice John Roberts and his 3 liberal colleagues voted to leave the court order in place. With Barrett, a conservative jurist, having joined the bench and giving the court a 6-3 conservative majority, Republicans are hopeful that the Supreme Court will rule in favor of ignoring ballots received after Election Day. They've already begun moving forward another case on this issue, hoping for a reconsideration of the decision. Democrats are demanding that Justice Barrett stay out of the case and let their decision stand. What's the issue? Despite the fact that the regulations clearly do not allow ballots after Election Day, the Democrats want to continue to bring in ballots after Election Day. There's a tremendous fear that there could be voter fraud in Philadelphia, a mainstay of Democrat politics there, that could flip Trump votes to a Biden win. Of course, the Dems point out their polls that show that Biden's winning, so of course this is silly. One more vote provided by a hard-right Trump-nominated justice could be the difference between voting rights and voting suppression, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York said last Tuesday. Trump stated early on the reason he believed it was important to have a court that can make a decision. Quote, "I think it's better if you go before the election because I think this scam that the Democrats are pulling is a scam. The scam will be before the United States Supreme Court," unquote. Trump stated shortly after the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg last month his position on this issue. The court's conservatives, Roberts included, have regularly sided with state officials who have objected when the federal court relaxes election rules, even if the changes arrive from the coronavirus pandemic. At the same time, the Supreme Court generally will not disturb state court rulings that are rooted in state law. But civil rights lawyers and election law experts said the vote in the Pennsylvania case indicates that at least 4 conservative justices may be willing to look at the state court election decisions in a way that calls to mind Bush versus Gore. Quote, based on Judge Barrett's record, there is every reason to believe that she would have been the 5th vote in favor of the Supreme Court overstepping its bounds and interfering with a non-federal issue that could jeopardize voter access, said Kristen Clark, President and Executive Director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. That group had opposed Barrett's confirmation. Pennsylvania Republicans relied in part on an opinion from Justice Clarence Thomas and 2 conservative justices in Bush versus Gore to argue that the Supreme Court should get involved in the case because the state court had improperly taken powers given by the U.S. Constitution to state lawmakers when it comes to presidential elections. The courts ruled for Bush on other grounds, and ballots were being handled differently across the state in violation of the Constitution's guarantee of equal protection. Barrett's lead as a textualist has the strong prospect of limiting the risk of voter fraud in Pennsylvania. Her involvement with the Supreme Court strengthens the conservative base of the court and should impact the federal bench's attempt to legislate on issues rather than interpret the law as written. Do not be surprised to see Justice Barrett named Chief Justice in the future as the first female Chief Justice, as she serves up to 40 years on the High Court. America will be blessed by her insight and intellect on the court. Should President Trump be reelected, he may bring other justices to the court as well. But this selection may be the best one provided to the court. For the 3 things, I'm Gene Church.